Hey guys, I'm Jordy, and this is your guide to the cloud serpent of your dreams and nightmares, Tsulong.
You do not belong here. The waters must be protected. I will cast you out or slay you!
Healers, my brothers and sisters in arms, welcome to our fight of the tier. Whereas our job is usually just to enable the DPS and tanks to do their job by reducing the boss's HP to 0, in this fight we are the main characters and they're here to help us get the job done. And with a ton of research and min-maxing, I've cooked a bunch of ways for you to do that job, so be sure to listen up for that. Now, Tsulong is a 2-phase day and night cycle fight. The first, the night phase, Tsulong starts at full HP and we DPS him as he resists the corruption of the Shaw of Fear before waking up from his nightmare briefly and imploring the raid to heal him to full health so he can better battle the Shaw. Wherever his HP is during the night phase, his HP will invert to match during the day phase. So if he's 75% at the end of your first night phase, he'll start at 25% in this subsequent day. The goal being either to heal him to 100% during the day or reduce his HP to 0 at night. Either way, you'll help break the corrupting influence of the Shaw and march onwards up the hill. Okay, raid comp for this fight is a bit unique in that you want to bring as many healers as is feasible. There are some diminishing returns here, more on why later, but 7 or even 8 healers is ideal. Any more and you'll likely run into issues with adds in phase 2 being too overwhelming without enough DPS to handle them. Alright, we'll split this guide up into 2. First, the night phase. On pull, Tsulong is shrouded in a dark cover, the corruption of the Shaw of Fear taking over his faculties, and we're looking to beat some sense into him to remind him of who he is. This phase lasts 2 minutes, and the goal is to DPS him while surviving the onslaught of damage until the day phase arrives. On pull, and every 2 seconds you're in the night phase, everyone in the raid is hit with a stack of Dread Shadows. This does about 45,000 shadow damage and increases shadow damage taken by 10%. While this isn't so bad early on, if you let it stack too high, the raid will be taking an insane amount of damage, so we're looking to cleanse it by moving into the sunbeams that the friendly Tsulong, buried deep within the psyche of the dragon, has managed to aid us with. We get our first sunbeam shortly after pulling him, and then every 40 to 45 seconds after that, another will spawn. Which we will need a fresh one because every time you dip into a beam, you reduce its size and energy as you soak up the sun. Players are looking to dip in, clear their stacks of Dread Shadows, and then quickly move out of it, lest they absorb the entire beam too quickly and forcing the raid to wait the 45 seconds until the next one. Don't do that, so pop in, catch a quick tan, and then dip out. Complicating this somewhat are a litany of small adds that spawn around the room called the Dark of Night. These little manifestations of darkness slowly move toward the sunbeam, and if any of them reach it, they absorb all of its energy and leave you lightless for a bit. Where these spawn are random, but you will want to assign classes that slow, stun, or DKs to grip them away to make sure that you have enough time to cleave them down. Under no circumstances should they ever reach the sunbeam. Last thing with these, as you're about to transition to the day phase and those stacks are going to drop off anyways, you don't need to worry about the Dark of Nights because even if they get rid of the beam, you don't need it. Okay, almost done with this phase. Tsulong has a breath that stacks a 100% damage taken debuff for 30 seconds, so your tanks will want to taunt swap when this gets applied and run cooldowns for every breath. There's no other mechanic in here that they need cooldowns for, so use them here. Tanks, once your other tank has taken the boss from you, make sure that you go reset your debuff by jumping briefly into the light. The breath plus the stacks of Dread Shadows will mean you're taking a lot of damage. Okay, last thing in this phase, every 15 seconds, Tsulong will throw down 3 large circles of purple nightmares on the ground. These things take 2 seconds to trigger after becoming visible, so you want to make sure that you move out of them. If you do get hit, you will take a massive amount of damage, and that, coupled with the damage taken from Dread Shadows, means it's entirely possible that you just get one shot. They also fear you if you're hit, making it even harder to survive, so spread out and avoid them and live. Alright, let's get into the day phase. Tsulong wakes up from his nightmare and looks around, realizes he's hurt, and implores you to heal him back to full so he can have the strength to resist the Shah's corruption once and for all. Healers, this is your time to shine.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, did you capture it? Just let it slip. Yo.
So, Tsulong has about 837 million HP, and it is actually completely possible to heal him to full in one single day phase, if you really min-max things to its limit. Now, in order to do that, you'll need to take advantage of a few things that Tsulong has provided that will aid you in healing him up. First, every 30 seconds, Tsulong casts Sun Breath. This is a 3-second cast and cones in front of him a massive breath of healing energy, dealing huge damage to any adds that are up, we'll talk about those shortly, but also buffing any player hit by it with Bathed in Light, returning 25% of your mana and giving you a 6-second buff that increases your healing done by 500%. Now, 500% is a lot, yes, but generally the players that we've assigned to take advantage of this aren't the ones doing the lion's share of the healing on him. Those main characters are the ones taking advantage of the Light of Day. Now, these are little slivers of sunbeams that pop up in a small radius around Tsulong that, if you're able to right-click them or use a macro that I'll mention shortly, gives you a different healing buff called the Light of Day that increases your healing done by 1500%. Yes, 3 times the effectiveness of the breath. Now, these beams spawn once every 10 seconds, the first spawning just as he phases from night to day. Also, at any given time, there can only be 3 sunbeams up. If a 4th spawns, the first will despawn, so keep that in mind. Also, the beams around Tsulong are super fiddly to click. Seriously, they suck. So it's hard not to click him when going for these, and you want your click timing to be specific, so I'd recommend making a macro that has /tar, the Light of Day, then going to your keybinds and setting something to interact with target. This will allow you to push 2 buttons, and by doing so, clicks the beam correctly exactly as you need it. There's also interact with mouse over, that works as well if you want to go that route. Okay, so let's get into exactly what we're going to do here. All of the healers, except for 3 people assigned to the sunbeams, are going to stack in front of the boss. Now, those 3 healers assigned to the beams are going to stand by their beam, but not under the boss, under any circumstances, and that goes for every player. Don't stand there because the druid will kill you. Now, what I'm about to detail isn't required. You can do this however you want, but I'm a healer and I like having the incentives on this fight to min-max it, so I overcooked it somewhat. Deal with it. Okay, so since the breath is every 30 seconds, you have all of the healers in front of the boss and 3 designated healers by their beams. As that breath is cast, which is 3 seconds, you want your priest to cast Guardian Spirit on the boss, increasing his healing received by 60%. Then that same priest channels Divine Hymn, which should tick quickly on the boss, giving him another 10%. And note, this is multiplicative, not additive. Someone else could do the math. Finally, a Mistweaver monk should cast Life Cocoon on the boss, increasing healing taken by periodic spells by 50%. So now, ideally, the boss has these 3 buffs up just as the breath goes out. Every healer should either now be breathed and doing 500% more healing, or they've just clicked their sunbeam, increasing their healing by 1500%. Note that these don't stack, so the beam people don't be in front of the boss, as it will overwrite your buff. So in this 6-second window, if you did it correctly, you should heal the ever-loving shit out of the boss. There are a few more ways to min-max this. I don't want to get too in the weeds here, as I'll lose the DPS and tank viewers even further, but druids, look into blooming your mushrooms. You can do 80 million or more healing in a single burst if done right. Monks, soothing, enveloping, and surging mist a bunch. Paladins pop those big CDs in this window for massive snapshots. Yes, snapshots, because you yourself have the plus healing, for the most part. So you can snapshot HOTS and roll them if done correctly. Maybe I make a video going over this even further, but yeah, super cool. Okay, once that first breath is done, you'll be sitting around waiting for the next one. If you have another Holy Priest and or Mistweaver Monk, you can do the same combo for the second breath 30 seconds later. But if not, just go big on healing as best you can when that buff is up, but don't worry too much about healing him without the buff. 500% is massive stonks, and your regular heals really won't be that impactful outside of that window. And Sunbeam people, if you are lining up another set of big CDs for Breath 2, you can hang out and click all together, but if not, just hit those Sunbeams, heal the dragon when your cooldowns are back up, and heal hard. Also, I'm sure Doublezug will have a video going over all of this more in depth on his channel soon. I'll post a little thing somewhere on the screen when that happens, so you can go there if you want to know more. Okay, other than all of that, the rest of the raid is doing some other stuff. DPS and tanks, hi. I'm so sorry, I got sidetracked with the healer things. God, they're so annoying, right? Okay, so your goal this phase is to protect your healers and the dragon from being interrupted from their circle jerk sessions so that they can end the fight faster. And the enemies that are looking to interrupt you will spawn all over the room. Now there are two types. The first are unstable Sha. These spawn randomly around the room and move toward the boss. If they reach him, they explode and deal 5 million damage or so to him, which is very bad because we're trying to top him up. So, we split the DPS up into 4 different groups and have them spread out around the room. But ideally not too far from the dragon, as they want to be in range of the healers still somewhat. And we want to be killing all of the unstable Sha as they spawn. Now these guys are slowable and stunnable, so do what you can to prevent them from reaching him. Second, and this is for you tanks, the embodied terrors. These big Sha enemies need to be picked up and brought in front of the boss. They have almost 18 million HP on heroic and should be killed as soon as possible because they randomly cast Terrorize on players and Tsulong himself. Now this ticks for 50% of the player's current HP, but also ticks on Tsulong for 5% of his current HP every 2 seconds. So when this goes out, first dispel Tsulong because 5%'s like over 4 million HP, and then dispel players. We assign a monk to revival the first one to help the healers keep pumping early, but after that, the priest is in charge of dispelling the boss, and then does their best to either mass dispel the other people or call for help. Now, when Tsulong breathes, he actually also damages the Sha minions significantly with it. So if you drag the terror in front of him, he will hit them with the breath and do almost 5 million damage with it and stuns them for 8 seconds. However, we don't want to use that on the embodied terrors because when they die, they spawn 5 little ads called fright spawns that run around fearing players nearby. The goal here, kill the terror just before the breath goes out. Stun those spawns as the breath lands, and then that breath should kill them by itself right after that. Players should tremor totem or dispel the extra fear if it does go out, but do your best to prevent it entirely. Okay, we have 4 breaths total, one at 30 seconds, one at 60, one at 90, and then a final one at 2 minutes in. Right after that final one, he transitions back into night. Note, you may have hots ticking on him from the day phase for that final breath, so healers and DPS shamans should purge the hell out of him, as any health healed here is counter to your goal. From here, we just repeat. I'd guess most raids will see 2 night and 2 day cycles, but it's entirely possible to heal him to full in a single day, so see what you can do. Healers, I believe in you. And if you didn't let the night engulf you, healed him hard with the light of the sun, and prevented your healers from getting distracted by those spooky ads, Tsulong should snap out of his corruption, and you're halfway done with toes. Okay, let's talk about tank tips super fast. In the night phase, it can help to move the boss close, but not into the sunbeam, so that players can dip in and out easily without having to move very far. Just be careful not to breath the raid during this movement, as it will kill people. And don't forget to rock your CDs for each of those breaths. They hit hard, and you'll want to make sure you reset your stacks quick after taking one. And for the healers, honestly, we talked a lot about the plan here in the guide itself, so see that for those tips. And for the DPS, you're the support spec for this fight, so act like it. Prioritize helping the healers out as best you can with stuns, slows, anything to let them do the work that they need to do to heal the boss to full. And if you have even a little bit of healing know-how, consider telling your raid leaders so you can spec healing for this fight, as it will help even further. Okay, that's it for Tsulong. Next up, the water spirit Lei Shi, and then onto the big bad himself, Sha Fear. Appreciate you guys watching. 2 more guides to go. Throw me a like and sub if you appreciated this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.